I supported his dreams, emptied my savings, and now I'm picking up the pieces. He said, "You'll see. One day this will all pay off." It did, just not for him. 6 months later, he was pitching investors with my ideas. I waited until the big demo to deliver the final blow, and the look on his face was worth every dollar I lost. He was pacing when he said it, back and forth across my living room, barefoot, holding a mug he wasn't drinking from. The coffee had gone cold, but he didn't notice. He was too busy sketching big ideas into the air with his free hand, a mess of jargon and half-formed product names, dots that hadn't connected yet but burned bright in his mind. Jace always spoke like he was already successful, like the room owed him belief just for his enthusiasm. "I'm telling you, it's going to be different," he said. "Not another app, a platform. A whole new way of thinking about access and ownership. Seamless integration, intuitive UX, user-first design, scalable." That last word came with a grin, like he'd just unlocked a secret code. He pulled a stack of Post-it notes from his backpack, spread them out on my coffee table like tarot cards, doodles, bullet points, scratched numbers. At the center, one bright orange note with the word launch underlined 3 times. Then he looked at me, eyes wide, caffeine sparked, full of that electric desperation that makes you believe in people even when you shouldn't. "You believe in me, right?" I did, of course I did. That's the thing about being in love with someone who dreams out loud. You start to see their potential as a promise. I nodded. He sat down beside me, exhaled like he'd just finished a marathon. "I've never shown this to anyone else. Not even Devin. That was supposed to mean something. I think it did. I didn't ask what he needed. I already knew." The next morning, I transferred $8,000 from my savings to his business account. The note field just said seed money. He called me his angel investor. I smiled. I told myself it was partnership, that this was what love looked like when you believed in someone completely. What I didn't know yet, what I hadn't let myself consider, was that not all investments pay off in the way you expect. Some don't return anything. Some change everything. And some teach you exactly who you're building with and who's just standing on your shoulders. But that night, all I saw was a man with a dream. And me, foolish enough to think I was part of it. We didn't even talk about terms. No contract, no equity breakdown, no timeline, just trust. That was the first mistake, I guess, thinking that love could double as a business model. That if I gave enough time, ideas, money, belief, it would somehow come back to me in the right form. I wasn't just funding him, I was feeding the thing. Weekends blurred into whiteboard sessions. Evenings became working dinners where I brought takeout and a notepad. I wasn't technical, not like Devin, but I had an eye. For layout. For logic. For what people actually want something to feel like, not just what it does. He'd sketch wireframes and I'd rearrange them. He'd throw out a tagline and I'd trim it until it meant something. I wrote the copy for the landing page. Designed the welcome emails. Built mock-ups in Figma. Spent hours obsessing over onboarding flows while he hopped from one vision to the next. Jace called me his secret weapon. Smiled at me in meetings. Let me sit in on early Zoom calls with friends of friends he pitched to for funding. Said things like, "We're building something real." I took it to heart. Every late-night brainstorm, every skipped weekend. Every time I dipped into savings again just to cover this month's dev work. He'd tell people, "She gets it. She's the only one who ever got it." And I'd smile, like I didn't hear the past tense creeping in. I worked under his name, used his email domain. Let him take the front seat in every call because he said founders have to lead. I wasn't asking for credit, not then. I thought I was building our future. That if I poured enough into the foundation, the house would hold both of us. But love, it turns out, can be the easiest way to disguise unpaid labor. You don't see it while it's happening, not when someone tells you you're irreplaceable, indispensable, brilliant. Not when they're tired and you offer to take one more thing off their plate because you know they're stretched thin. It doesn't feel like being used. It feels like helping. Until it doesn't. Talia wasn't subtle. She never has been. We were at our usual brunch spot, tucked into the corner by the window, her stirring an iced coffee like it had personally offended her. Me trying not to look at my phone every 5 minutes to check for an update from Jace. She watched me scroll through a wireframe I'd mocked up the night before. Simple interface, clean layout, one of those ideas that feels obvious once you've finally nailed it. I showed her. It's for the new version of the dashboard. Jace said it could be a game changer. She didn't look impressed. You designed that. I nodded, and he's presenting it. I shrugged. He's the one who talks to investors. She set her coffee down. You're building his future. Is he building yours? I laughed too fast. We're building it together. She leaned back, gave me that look, the one that feels like a mirror you didn't ask to look into. No, she said. You're building it, he's selling it. I rolled my eyes. It's not like that, isn't it? She didn't say it cruelly, just plainly, like she'd seen it before, like she was trying to get ahead of the part where I realized it too late. I changed the subject, talked about her job, her new apartment, anything to steer away from the question I didn't want to answer. But the words stuck. Is he building yours? That night I couldn't sleep. Not because I thought she was wrong, because deep down I knew she wasn't. There's a kind of blindness that comes from love, the kind that makes you think building with someone is the same as building for someone. And sometimes, you don't realize the difference until the scaffolding starts to crack. Devin was the quiet kind of brilliant. He never interrupted, never pitched half-formed thoughts just to hear himself talk. When he spoke, it was measured and usually right. Jace had known him since college. They'd worked on a class project together, lost touch, then reconnected when we hit a wall with the backend. Jace brought him in like a subcontractor. He's solid, he said. Not flashy but fast. Devin came over that first weekend with a beat-up laptop and a calm energy that settled the whole room. No ego, no big reveal, just rolled up his sleeves and got to work. I liked him immediately. He listened. That alone made him different. I'd sketch out a layout or float a feature idea, and instead of talking over me or nodding absently, Devin would ask follow-up questions. Why that placement? What's the user supposed to feel at this point? He made me sharper, more precise. He never called me Jace's girlfriend. Never made me feel like I was in the room on a pass. We'd stay up troubleshooting until 2 a.m. sometimes, me sketching interfaces on a tablet, him typing furiously beside me, music low, the room filled with quiet focus. Jace would drift in and out, toss ideas over his shoulder, say things like, "You two are killing it," then disappear for an hour to scroll Reddit or take a call labeled potential investor. I didn't mind, not then. I was too caught up in the rhythm of creation, that intoxicating high when something works. But Devin noticed things. He noticed when Jace took credit for a feature I'd mapped from scratch. He noticed when I paid for another month of hosting and Jace said, "I'll Venmo you later," and didn't. He never said anything. Not directly. But once, after Jace left mid-meeting to grab drinks with an old friend, Devin looked up from his laptop and said, "You could run this without him, you know." I didn't answer, because somewhere in me, I already knew that was true. The launch was supposed to be a turning point. We had stayed up 3 nights in a row prepping final bug sweeps, updated UI, a new demo reel I edited frame by frame until it didn't look like we were faking it. Jace scheduled the soft launch for a Friday morning, said it was psychologically stronger, people like fresh things going into the weekend. I didn't argue. Devin warned him, "The server's not fully tested. We should wait a week." Jace waved him off. "It'll be fine, it's barely traffic." It wasn't fine. The site crashed before the third user finished onboarding. The homepage froze. The database looped. The demo link he'd sent to 3 potential investors led to a 502 error. I was watching it happen in real time. So was Devin. He was already writing a patch while Jace cursed and slammed his laptop shut like that would make it someone else's fault. "Why didn't you catch this?" Jace snapped at Devin. Devin didn't look up. "I told you we needed more time." Jace paced the room, muttering under his breath, flailing like someone had stolen something from him. This was supposed to be the launch. This was supposed to be the thing. I sat at the edge of the couch, exhausted. Not just from the night before, from everything. The emotional triage I'd been doing for months. The endless labor behind the curtain. He looked at me. "Can you just talk to them, tell them we're fixing it?" Them, the investors, the people who hadn't met me. The ones he had carefully excluded me from. I nodded, because that's what I did. I drafted an apology email, took the blame for a timing oversight, and sent it with the same address I'd built all our campaign materials from. Then I opened my banking app, transferred $2,000 more into the company account to cover the new server costs. It was all I had left. Jace didn't say thank you. He collapsed on the couch, groaned into a pillow, and said, "This startup life is brutal." And I remember sitting there, empty, thinking, no, you're just cushioned by someone else's sacrifice, and you're too self-involved to notice. The unraveling had already begun. He just didn't see the thread yet. It started small. Jace would say we when he was talking to us in the apartment in late-night brainstorms in front of Devon. But in emails, in calls, it became I. I've been developing a platform. I'm building something new. My product aims too. At first, I thought it was just shorthand, a way to sound confident, streamlined, maybe even strategic. Investors liked a clear voice, right? But then it crept into his pitch decks, into the bio section on the landing page, into the about slide that used to say built by a team of dreamers, and now just had his name, his photo, and a single line underneath: founder, visionary, builder. I wasn't listed anywhere. Neither was Devon. I pointed it out once. Casually, "Hey, should we add a team section back to the site?" He didn't look up from his laptop. "It's cleaner this way. You know how it is, too many names muddies the story." I nodded, said nothing else, but something lodged in my chest and stayed there. It wasn't just erasure. It was narrative theft. He wasn't just taking credit for the product. He was rewriting the story in real time, and we were being edited out. Devon noticed too. We were on a call one night fixing a UI bug, and Jace sent over a deck labeled Final Pitch. Devon opened it, went quiet. Then he said, "Looks like we've been promoted to ghosts." We didn't talk about it more than that, but the silence between us held weight. The shift was subtle but decisive. He stopped asking what I thought. He stopped looping me in. He stopped saying we at all. And the part that hurt most, he didn't even realize he was phasing me out. Because in his mind, he was simply stepping into the role he thought he was owed. And in mine, I had just begun to understand what it meant to disappear, slowly, professionally, politely, from the very thing I helped build. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I had just gotten off a frustrating call with a potential UI contractor. Someone Jace had asked me to vet and then ghosted midway through the process. I was tired. I had notes all over my screen, my eyes hurt. He came into the kitchen casually, like he was asking if I wanted Thai or sushi for dinner. Instead, he said, "So I talked to Matt again, one of the investors." I nodded. "And they're interested, like seriously interested. But they think the team's a little bloated for where we are." I froze, bloated. "Yeah, just optics. You know how early stage stuff works. They like a lean founding team." Just one voice out front for clarity. "It's not personal." I put my coffee down slowly. "So what are you saying?" He scratched the back of his neck. "Just for now, maybe it's better if you're not in the meetings. Just while we close this round." "Step back." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." He raised his hands. "I'm not cutting you out, you're still, vital. Behind the scenes, you're my person." I stared at him. "Your person." He tried to soften. "Babe, investors are skittish. I'm playing the game, it's temporary." That was the moment I knew I wasn't on the team anymore. I was support staff. Optional. Replaceable, someone to keep the wheels greased while he took the credit. He called it strategy. But it felt like a slow-motion shove out the side door. And the worst part, I didn't fight, I nodded, I smiled. I said, "Yeah, makes sense." Then I walked into the bedroom and sat on the floor with my laptop open, staring at the wireframes I'd spent 3 weeks refining. He was pitching a dream we built together. But the spotlight, that belonged to him now. I was already at the coffee shop when he walked in. He didn't see me, or if he did, he didn't register it. I was in the corner, hoodie up, laptop open but untouched. He was at the bar, AirPods in, pacing just slightly as he waited for his drink. He always paced when he was trying to sound casual while saying something calculated. I hadn't planned to be there. I just needed to get out of the apartment. Needed a chair that wasn't mine, a space that didn't smell like old ambition. But the moment I heard his voice, confident, slightly too loud, I froze. He was on a call. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I didn't have to try. No, I mean, the concept was mine from the start. She was just helping. Design stuff, mostly. I've been refining the pitch and bringing in the right technical people. I felt it in my stomach first. That slow, low ache. She had good instincts, but you know how it is, ideas are easy. Execution's where the real value is. The barista called his name. He didn't hear it the first time. Then again, louder. He nodded, took his drink, and walked out still talking, never once looking around. Never once thinking I might be close enough to hear him reframe my work into a footnote. I didn't move for a full minute. Didn't cry. Didn't text anyone. Just sat there and realized something important. I didn't need to confront him. I didn't need to shout or throw a drink or burn it all down with a dramatic exit. I already had what I needed. Proof. Clarity. A record, and more than anything, silence. Because when you stop reacting, when you stop rushing to correct someone else's narrative, you start building your own. I packed up, walked out, and didn't look back. It was 6 months later when I saw it. A friend forwarded me a link with the subject line, "Isn't this your thing?" It was a pitch deck, circulating in a startup forum. Jace's name at the top, clean typography, sleek branding. The email said he was preparing for a big round, new investors, new markets. A reimagined roadmap. I clicked through it slowly. Slide 1, vision. Slide 2, problem. Slide 3, solution. Slide 4 stopped me. There it was. My layout, my original wireframe, down to the placement of the call to action button, and the way I'd staggered the user testimonials for credibility. Slide 6 had a screenshot of the interface, with the same phrasing I'd written in a doc titled Tagline Experiments. I remembered the exact one he had called a little too wordy. Now it sat at the center of his branding like it had always been there. Slide 8, monetization. My notes, my numbers. I recognized the language. I had tested 3 different models and built a spreadsheet to compare outcomes. He'd lifted it all. And the last slide, a photo of him on stage at some networking event, smiling. Captioned, founder, innovator, product designer. There was no mention of me, or Devin. No trace of the people who had made the foundation possible. He had taken what we built and repackaged it as a solo act. A narrative clean enough for funding, polished enough to erase the messy truth of collaboration. I didn't panic. I didn't send a cease and desist. I didn't text him. I forwarded the link to Devin. Subject line. Ready. 2 minutes later, he replied, "Let's do it." Because theft is loud, but the fix is patient. I didn't need to explain it to Devin, he already knew. The second I sent him the link, he knew what had happened, not just the theft, but the betrayal wrapped in it. The repackaging. The way Jace had erased us and built a version of the truth that could scale. We got on a call that night. No camera, no small talk. I just said, "I'm ready now." He said, "Let's do it." No hesitation, no questions about motives. He wasn't doing this for revenge. Neither was I. We were doing it because we could. We spent the first hour pulling up our old files, timelines, drafts, screenshots, prototype links. Devin still had the backend code from the original build. I had archived emails, design mockups, UI iterations, even voice memos Jace had left me during development. Every version had a timestamp. Every timestamp told the real story. It wasn't about launching something new out of spite. It was about reclaiming what we'd built before ego got involved, before Jace turned a shared vision into a stage monologue with our parts cut. We didn't talk about him, we talked about it. The product we always meant to build. The smarter version. The leaner, clearer one, not the messy Frankenstein he'd bloated to impress investors. Ours was purposeful, focused. Built with users in mind, not just funding potential. Devin brought up features we'd shelved too early. I reworked copy I hadn't looked at in months. We edited each other without flinching. Like we'd been waiting for this version the entire time. It wasn't about stealing something back. It was about finishing what we started before he stole it first. And this time, there would be a paper trail. This time, there would be names, both of ours. This time, I wouldn't be invisible. We worked in silence. Not the awkward kind, the kind that feels like precision, purpose. We didn't need to talk about what had happened. That part was done. Jace had taken the public version of the story, but he'd left the substance behind. Devin coded like a machine. Efficient. Clean. Every update pushed on time. Every bug resolved without drama. No complaints, no excuses. I rebuilt the front end. Scrapped the old design and started from scratch. No trace of his branding, no recycled palette. I wanted it to feel nothing like him, cleaner, sharper, rooted in real use, not just pitch aesthetics. We refined every detail, navigation that actually made sense, language that spoke directly to the user, a feature we'd shelved a year ago because Jace thought it was too niche. We brought it back. Quietly, we rebuilt the product he had abandoned in favor of something louder. We didn't post about it, didn't leak it, didn't tease it. We just built, privately, thoughtfully, no noise, no audience. We wanted it to be undeniable when it arrived. At night, I'd close my laptop and feel calm instead of depleted. Not vindicated, just steady. Like something that had been spinning for too long had finally stilled. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't heartbroken either. I was working, focused, free. It wasn't about teaching him a lesson. It was about giving myself the credit I had been too loyal, too afraid to claim the first time. The paperwork was boring, which is exactly how I wanted it. No big reveal, no Instagram-worthy moment, just a stack of documents filed through the proper channels. Devin handled the LLC, I handled the trademark. We filed for a provisional patent on the feature Jace once said was too complicated for MVP. I registered the brand name we'd come up with on that late-night call months ago. The one he laughed off, said sounded a little too feminine. It was available. Of course it was. He never thought to claim it because he never thought I would. I bought the domain, claimed the socials, locked down the visual identity. Black and white logo, clean typography, professional, not flashy, just serious. Devin made sure the product was deployable, documented, tested, versioned. We kept everything dated, everything with a log, because one day someone might ask whose idea it really was, and when they did, I wanted the answer to be effortless. I wasn't rushing to release. This wasn't about being first, it was about being right. I kept my name at the bottom of the site, co-founder, product plus experience. Devin's was there too, co-founder, engineering plus systems. We didn't call ourselves visionaries. We didn't say disruptive or game-changing. We didn't need to. We built something real and backed it with paper. No one could overwrite us this time, and if they tried, we were ready. The invite landed in my inbox on a Thursday morning. Sender, Jace *** Ventures. Subject line, your invited exclusive demo plus investor preview. I clicked it open without thinking. It was a mass email, probably sent to everyone who'd ever joined a mailing list or opened a waitlist form. I must have signed up 6 months ago under a burner Gmail. I'd forgotten, but there it was, clean layout, generic branding, and Jace's name at the top, next to a headshot that looked overly edited. The invite was dressed up like an exclusive party, black and gold theme, RSVP required. Cocktail casual in a co-working space downtown that always tried too hard. The date, 2 weeks away. Devin and I were already deep into testing by then. We were close to ready, not perfect but stable. Functional, documented. I forwarded him the email. He replied with one word. Perfect. There was no need to stage anything. No dramatic unveiling. No sabotage. He was going to demo the product, our product, rebranded and repackaged, in front of people who'd seen it before. People who remembered what it looked like, how it worked, what it promised. And now they'd get to see the difference. No confrontation, no yelling, just timing, just precision. I marked the date on my calendar. Not because I needed to watch him lose, but because I was ready to step back into the room he tried to erase me from and let the truth speak for itself. The night before the demo, Devin and I pushed one last update. It was the feature Jace had always dismissed, the one I pitched during a brainstorm months ago, back when we were still playing house and calling it a startup. He'd waved it off immediately. Too specific, he'd said. Not scalable. What he meant was, it didn't sound impressive enough in a pitch. What I meant was, it solved a real problem. Devin and I built it anyway. A lightweight toggle inside the user dashboard, simple, clean, but transformative. It gave users immediate control over how they experienced the product. We designed it to feel intuitive, like something you didn't even know you needed until it was in your hands. It was elegant, unflashy. Exactly the kind of thing you couldn't fake your way through if you didn't understand your own product. He had no version of it, because he never saw the point. But I did, so we built it into the demo. Quietly, no announcement. Just there live, functional, time-stamped. Ready to be noticed by anyone paying attention. We tested it twice. No bugs. When Devin gave me the final thumbs up, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. Like I'd just taken back a room in my own house. The thing about people like Jace is they know how to sound visionary, but they don't know how to build things that last, because they think vision is the same as volume. And we were about to show the difference. The room was full. Not packed, just full enough to feel curated. Investors in slim suits, founders with startup hoodies zipped halfway, a few PR types pretending not to take photos. Jace stood at the front with his usual charm turned up to 10. He was in his element. Hair styled. Smile ready. Shirt one button too tight for sincerity. I stood near the back, tucked between Devin and a cluster of junior analysts pretending to be unimpressed. The screen behind Jace glowed with his logo. Sleek, safe, generic. Today, he said, we're changing the way users experience real-time collaboration. A few heads nodded. Someone scribbled a note. He clicked through slides I knew too well, the architecture I'd drafted, the phrasing I'd refined, the flow I could still map in my sleep. He launched the demo, clicked through it live, and that's when it happened. Halfway through the walkthrough, an older man in the front row, one of the investors, raised his hand. Jace hesitated, then smiled. Sure, go ahead. The man tilted his head. We've seen this before, this exact UI. Different name. Whispers moved like static across the front row. Devin didn't move beside me, neither did I. Jace blinked. I'm sorry. The man scrolled on his tablet. Yeah, here, a cleaner version, same structure, more functionality. Came across it last week, you two connected. Jace tried to smile, but it faltered at the edges. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Someone else spoke, a woman with a crisp blazer and a clipped tone. There's another product on the table with a more dynamic toggle feature in the dashboard. Yours doesn't have it. He opened his mouth, closed it. It was the first public crack. Small, precise, undeniable. I didn't gloat, I didn't need to. I was already walking to the front. I didn't rush. There was no dramatic entrance, no sharp heel echoing across the floor. Just me, walking calmly down the center aisle with a folded laptop under one arm and my name already on the schedule. Because 2 days ago, I'd quietly emailed the event organizer with documentation, screenshots, timestamps, and a short, professional message. I'd like to reserve 10 minutes to present a related platform. I believe it's relevant to your investor audience. They gave me a slot. I didn't tell Devin until it was confirmed. Jace stood frozen at the front as I approached. Confused, but not panicked, not yet. He still thought this might be some last-minute collaboration, some PR moment he hadn't been briefed on. I smiled, small, polite, non-threatening, and took the clicker from his hand. He didn't stop me. I connected my laptop, pulled up our demo, and turned to the room. I'd like to introduce a related project, I said, voice steady. This is a clean slate rebuild, designed and developed with a tighter backend and user-first navigation. Full documentation available upon request. Click Live Demo Loaded, Dashboard, Navigation, Speed, that toggle feature. It did what his didn't, and it did it faster. This platform, I said, was architected by 2 people. Myself, product and design, and Devin Liu, engineering and systems. Devin stepped forward, gave a slight nod. No speech. No posturing, just presence. I clicked once more. Final slide, the trademark certificate, filed months ago. Dated, signed, mine. I didn't explain it. I didn't have to. I turned toward Jace then, just briefly. He wasn't pale yet, just quiet. Like he finally understood what was happening but had no language for it. Because there was nothing to argue. Not here. Not now. Not with all the proof in my hand. He didn't sit down right away. He just stood there, frozen in that half-smile he wore when he thought he was still in control of the room. But his eyes were moving now, not confident, not calculated, just searching, like he was trying to find the version of this story that still worked in his favor. There wasn't one. He glanced at the screen, at the clean interface, the feature he never built, the trademark that didn't have his name on it. Then at Devon. Then at me. And that's when it hit. That flicker. The first time he looked small, not in stature. Not in volume, just exposed. Like the scaffolding had collapsed and there was nothing left to lean on. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Shifted his weight like he was going to say something, a defense, a pivot, a joke. But there was nothing left to spin. The moderator, a woman in a gray pantsuit with no patience for theatrics, leaned forward and spoke into her mic. "Thank you, Mr. Ellison. We're moving on." He blinked like he hadn't heard her, like he didn't quite understand that his time at the mic was over. She didn't repeat herself. He stepped down slowly, walked back toward the audience, and for the first time since I'd known him, Jace looked like someone without a script. I didn't watch him sit. I didn't need to. I kept facing the room. Let the silence settle, because this wasn't revenge, this was reckoning, and he knew it. The applause wasn't loud, no standing ovation, no whoops or cheers. Just a slow, even clapping from a few of the front-row investors, the kind that sounds more like respect than enthusiasm. Like they weren't clapping for performance, they were clapping for clarity. I didn't need it, but I took it in. Not as validation, not as revenge, as release. It washed over me like water, not cold, not hot, just clean. It didn't erase what had happened. It didn't refund the money I'd lost or give back the hours I'd poured into something someone else tried to claim. But it reminded me I wasn't invisible anymore, that the room had seen the work. The real work. Devon stood beside me, arms at his sides, quiet as ever. He didn't smile. He didn't flinch. He just waited, the same way he had through the nights we built this, with purpose, not ego. When the moderator thanked us and moved on, we stepped down together. No bow, no eye contact with Jace. We just walked toward the side exit, where the air felt lighter and the noise behind us blurred. Outside in the hallway, Devon finally spoke. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, I think I actually am." The applause was still fading behind us. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't need to look back to be sure of anything. We were halfway down the block when my phone buzzed. One message, from Talia. "He always thought he was the product. You were the brand." I stopped walking, stared at it, no emojis, no punctuation, just a flat truth sent like she'd been waiting months to say it. I showed it to Devon. He read it, smirked. "She's not wrong." She usually isn't. I didn't respond to her. I didn't need to. She'd see the news soon enough, the posts, the updates, the quiet industry chatter that spreads faster than a press release. Jace's name would start to fade and ours would start to stick. And she'd know. She was the only one who had seen it from the beginning, how much I gave, how little I took, how long I waited before reclaiming what I'd built. She never told me to go scorched earth. She just reminded me again and again that I wasn't crazy for wanting credit. Now I had it, not the flashy kind, the real kind. The kind that doesn't need to be shouted, just registered, filed, shipped, remembered. I put my phone away. We kept walking. The day was quiet. I didn't need a headline. I had my name back. I walked home alone. Not because Devon didn't offer a ride, he did. But I wanted the walk. I needed the air. The city was in that late evening lull where everything softens. Streetlights buzzing faintly. Restaurants filling. Voices tucked into corners. Nothing demanding, just motion. I turned off my phone halfway through the walk. No more notifications. No more "did you see?" messages, no articles to skim, no postmortems. Jace would figure out how to explain it. Or he wouldn't. Either way, I wasn't part of his damage control. I got home, dropped my bag inside the door, and stood there for a second. Just standing. No noise. No weight. My laptop was on the table. So was the notebook, the same one I'd used back when this whole thing was still a maybe. Dog-eared. Corners folded. Ideas scribbled sideways. I opened to the last page, wrote a new date, drew a line underneath it, then started listing. New ideas, new sketches, not for tomorrow, not for the market, just for me. The empire starts small. One reclaimed idea at a time. Every dollar I lost, tuition. Every hour spent in his shadow, research. Every mistake I made by giving too much without asking for credit, now a blueprint. I poured a glass of water, sat in my chair. No soundtrack, no spotlight, just peace, just process. and finally a future with my name on it. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you all.